Well, good morning and welcome. So good to have you all with us this morning. You're going to kind of feel like there's a buzz in the air this morning. You know, it's that spring day, but also we've been looking forward to this day for a long time. If you're visiting with us this morning, man, you are our honored guest. It's lovely to see a lot of people visiting with us. It's nice to see Marianne again. It's been, I think it's been 73 years since I can't remember, but it's a long time. Marianne used to be a member of this congregation. Nice to see her with us this morning. And love all these decorations and all the stuff going on outside. And of course, we've got the children's stuff out and the lovely welcome. So thank you to the Westfall Life Group. Haven't they done an amazing job? Yeah. Give honor where honor's due. So thank you, guys. I know you've been working hard on this for a long time, and they were all here early this morning putting up these wonderful decorations. It's nice to have that wonderful welcome this morning. Hey, you need to know that Zion David Lister is in the house for the very first time this morning. So yeah, congratulations to Matthew and Manette on their brand new baby who's here for the first time this week. Well, Manette has been an absolute rock star. Matthew told me 3 pushes. 1, 2, 3. The doctor went, oh, like that. And weighing in at 3.4 kgs and half a meter long. And we're grateful. What a name, hey? Fortress of God, City of God, Zion David. So welcome to them and to him, and congratulations to them. Of course, we also think of Chanel and Cody this time. Is this the last one of the year? Are there any other maybes? So every Sunday, hey, there's another one here. Another one. For those of you not regularly here, we are prolific breeders here at Queen Mary Avenue. And I think this might be the last one for the year. And we got that special service coming, dedicating our children to God. But we need to keep Chanel in our prayers and Cody and Abs, because we await the birth of Alexis Page coming in a week, 2 weeks, 3, we don't know, but very soon. Of course, is Women's Month finished now? It's just like, not. It's just like every day. But I was like, every day we've been hearing about Women's Month, you know, and of course last week we were celebrating Hans and Lottie's 61st wedding anniversary. Incredible! I'm still trying to get that. Kind of reminds me of that story. There was this massive storm while people were trying to worship at church. And a bolt of lightning hit the church, and there was smoke everywhere. And when the smoke cleared, the devil himself was standing in the pulpit. People got so scared they just ran away, except one old lady. She's sitting right there. The devil said to her, "How come you didn't run? Are you not scared of you? Scared of me?" She said to the devil, "I'm not scared of you. I've been married to your brother for 30 years. Okay, one other little story for Women's Month, and then we will leave Women's Month for a while. The story goes that, Adam in the garden said to God, "How come Eve, she's got such beautiful hair?" He said, "I did it so you would love her." Adam said, she's got this incredible body. God said, "I did it so you would love her. She's the most beautiful woman on this earth." God said, "I did it so you would love her." But Adam said to God, but one thing, how come you made her so stupid?" God said, "That's easy, so she would love you." Folks, this is a very... Shanda, don't look at him like that. This is that special time of the year, you know. You kind of, it's anticipation. And we don't kind of always get it down here, but coast up country, see there's little buds on the trees, you know, the apple. It's kind of like that exciting time of the year. And for many of us, we do the spring cleaning. And I know what, I just did it a week or two. Went through them, boy, there's stuff in there that I haven't worn for a long time, and you kind of chuck it out. And, man, you think winter's over, so there's those warm jackets. And, you know, the beanie that you took out, you never ever got to wear. And some of us are... And you put it away, and this is the time to rejuvenate and to look at our lives and hopefully to scale down, to minimize, because we've got this, like that New Year's resolutions. That spring is that time to just get there. But I want to suggest to you today that too many of us are living in the land of because we want to be faster, sexier, smarter, richer, prettier. And when we see people who are around us who are not like that, then we like to think lesser of them. So this morning I want to speak to you about in search of contentment. This spring, when things are new and you think it is a time of refreshing, would you consider with me, maybe we need to be a people who are more content? Because we're going to see Solomon has some very interesting things to say about contentment. And we need to listen because he was the man that had everything. I mean, he had the crops, he had the woman, he had the money, he had the barns, he had everything that you can possibly begin to imagine. But he had a lot to say about contentment. And I hope for the next few minutes I can encourage you to search for contentment. Because apart from the heirs in this life, the richer, the prettier, the faster, something, we're never going to get there. Because there will always be somebody with more. There will always be the richer. There will always be the skinnier. There will always be the smarter, the hipper, the prettier, the fitter, the handsomer, the cuter, the fun. There will always be somebody with a bigger than you have. And it doesn't matter what you have accomplished. There will always be somebody on this earth who's got a bigger than you have or I have. And so what we do is we look around in this life. We look for people who are lesser to make us feel superior. And so we go into this life and we all want to feel superior. But some of us are not happy even with we want to be the est. Hey? We want to be the rich est, the pretty est, the smart est, the cutest, the skinniest, and the retweeted est. And it's frustrating. Because I want you to know this morning, there is no win in comparison. There's no win in comparison. And comparison puts the dis in discontentment. And it's a very, very dangerous thing. Because some of us are working ourselves to death, studying ourselves to death. You know, taking second jobs, it's driving us crazy, trying to be like someone else, trying to have their lifestyle, their car, you know, their looks, their shoes, their handbag. And Solomon says, oh man, I've learned at the end of my life, contentment is better than all the heirs in the world. And that puts us at odds with people. It's like kind of what happened in high school. You just wanted to fit in, you know, with the hipper, the prettier, the wealthier, and so you try to be like, and you never got to, and it makes you feel this angst in your life. And what we do is we dislike people, not because they're dislikable, but because they've got the that we do not have. And we find ourselves not getting along with certain people because we will never look like them. We'll never have what they have. We'll never be as smart as they have. And it turns us into horrible belief. And this belief that you need what they have to be respectable, to be acceptable, to be lovable. It's kind of this whisper in society. And no one says it out loud, except the Kardashians. You know, it's all this comparison thing all the time. You know, and all these magazines that say, you've got to be like this to be happy, to be acceptable, to be lovable, and to be respectable. And you know what? Those people that you wish that you could have what they all have got, they've got that same whisper in their lives. Because there always is someone who's got the greater in their life. And this comparison is absolutely killing us. And it's killing Christians because we're spending our lives trying to be what other people are like instead of being what God has designed us to be. And there is this kind of whisper. And you kind of get it said, no one's talking about it. The potluck at the life group, you know. I mean, look at them. They arrived, their chicken. You see the packets in? Woolies. And you've got your chicken licking, it's this comparison all the time. It's a horrible, horrible thing in this life. And it doesn't turn us out to be the people that God wants us to be. Now, I want to show you this morning what this incredible man, Solomon, had to say. Have a look at Proverbs chapter 14 and verse 30. He says, envy rots the bones. This is an incredible passage of scripture. Envy rots the bones. Heather, I don't know if that's a medical possible or something, but I can imagine that when you're just envious of other people or something, it has an effect on your life. And just Solomon said, let's just put it this way. It just rots your bones. It sucks the joy out of life when you're always comparing your to other people's because you want the est. You want to be like, and he said it takes us out of it. And so let's say this spring, will you say this spring, enough is enough. As we enter into this new season of life that God has blessed us with, let's stop with the comparison trap. And let's say, I do not have to have what you have to be acceptable, to be lovable, and to be respected in society. Solomon just going to say, just knock it off. Knock it off. In fact, I would say if in good old South African English, don't be doff, knock it off. Okay, that's what I think Solomon is saying. Stop that. It will kill you. It will kill your spirit, your confidence, your life, your friendships, your marriage. If you're always working yourself to death so you can have what everybody else has, and it never works. You see, this kind of tension never goes away. And we need to learn how to manage it. So we as Christians can learn how to manage it, because it seriously affects our relationship with the Lord, because God wants you to be a certain person, but you're so looking over your shoulder to be like somebody else. Think about this. God has called you to be a certain man. He's gifted you with the gifts that you have. They're different from everybody else. And so if we keep looking over our shoulder and we're trying to keep up with a culture that is inconceivably far from God, we will never meet the purpose God has called us to be. And in the time we've got left, I want to show you, maybe give us a few little mental gymnastic exercises to do, and some phrases that we can look to stop us from wanting what everybody else has. It drives us crazy, and it turns us into terrible people. Because, when your eye looks at other people and you feel uglier, you feel stupider, poorer, and all these things, it doesn't lift us to be the people God wants us to be. So Solomon, he's an old man now. He's been there, done that. I mean, he's filthy rich. He's got buckets of money. He's got buckets of life experience. And now he downloads all that for us, and he pours it in Ecclesiastes chapter 4, what Michiel read for us this morning. And I saw all the toil and all the achievements spring from one person's envy of another. This is what Solomon has observed. The reason people are working themselves to death and crazy and doing stupid things, the reason they toil like they do and all their achievements, the reason they're doing it is because they envy other people and they're competing with the Joneses. This is not a new thing. This is 3,000 years old when Solomon walked this earth. People are envying other people, and Solomon said, it is absolutely crazy. All your hard work, just so you can be like other people, all your goal setting, so you can achieve what so-and-so has done around the years. Everybody is competing and comparing, and everybody is determining where they are in comparison to the other people in this life. Look what he carries on to say in verse 4. This, too, is meaningless. It is absolutely meaningless. It's stupid. It has no value. Solomon said, if you are doing this, and pretty much all of us are doing this, he said it's absolutely crazy. And then he goes on to say, it's chasing after the wind. It's chasing after the wind. I really thought this morning when I was preparing for this, maybe I put a fan up there and have it blowing out here, and trying to illustrate for you, chasing after the wind, there is no point. There is no end game. There's no finishing point. There is no trophy when you chase after the wind. There is no winner, and there is no peace in your life if you spend your life comparing and wanting to be others. If you see yourself always in comparison to other people, your brother, your sister, the people you work with. And some of us are so crazy. Folks, listen to this. Comparison puts the dis in discontentment. And if you're comparing all the time, guaranteed you will be dissatisfaction. It is guaranteed to steal your joy out of your accomplishments, because as soon as you accomplish something, you compare it to what somebody else has accomplished. And there will always be somebody who has accomplished more. So when you catch yourself saying like, I wish I had a skin like that. I wish I had hair like that. I wish I had a job like that. I wish I had a car like that. When you catch yourself looking in someone else's direction, say to yourself, that's chasing after the wind. And I don't chase the wind. That's chasing after the wind, and I don't chase the wind. Say to yourself, I don't chase the wind. And yes, well done to them. Hey, lovely car, nice handbag, lovely flower that fell from the wall, all that stuff. That's good stuff. But I don't chase the wind. I don't have to have that to validate my life in these things. But Solomon also says, don't take it too extreme. Don't say, okay, so I'm not going to think, I'm going to sit back and do nothing. So he says in verse 5, what he says in verse 5 there, fools fold their hands and ruin themselves. Okay, Solomon said, I hear you that I mustn't be like everybody else, so I'm going to sit and do nothing. No. A fool sits and does nothing. But he carries on, and he gives this incredible imagery in verse 6. Better, I absolutely love this. And you've got to picture Solomon sitting there. Maybe he's talking to a bunch of people. Better one handful with tranquility. He's like, okay, put his hands out. I'm sure he put his hands out when he was telling the story. And the scribe writing that. Better one handful of tranquility than two handfuls with toil and chasing after the wind. Guys, if you've got one handful, that's enough. I know you're okay, you can live, you've got food, and you've got a roof over your house, and you're comfortable. Why do you need two handfuls? And if you had 4 hands, you'd want them all, because society says the more hands, the more you can get your hands on. Grab it, because that puts you in this level. Says, people will look at you, you'll have this urn, that urn, maybe this way you can get to the est, the richest, the sexiest, the prettiest, the handsomest. If I could go and have that surgery, and go, Susie down the road, she recommended this plastic surgery. I could be stop all that. Solomon says here, one hand with tranquility. One hand tranquility. Because when you've got one hand with tranquility, you're not going to be comparing, and you're not going to competing, because you're not even looking to your other hand. You can just say, no, I don't need more and more. And Solomon, more than all of us, can attest to this, because he had everything. He had handfuls, he had buckets full, he had houses full, he had kingdoms full of everything. And Solomon said, listen, this is what I've discovered. One handful with contentment. One handful with contentment is better than 2 handfuls with toil and chasing the wind. You know what tranquility means? You can put your head on the pillow at night and go. It means you don't have to be thinking, how can I look like her, have her hair, have his thing, and wear that bag, get those shoes on. It's just this constant for more. Solomon said that will bring no tranquility into your life. And Solomon says, I have learned. It's taken years of experience. The best way to learn from experience is from other person's experience. You don't want to wait till you're 80 years old to say, I've learned this. Solomon said, learn from me. One handful. That will be tranquility and will give you contentment. We so assume in this life, more is better. And we are taught that every single day of our lives, more is better. So we absolutely need the upgrade. We need the bigger bling. You know, and it doesn't matter what increase we get, we're all just, people are borrowing money to buy things, to impress people that they don't even like, because that's what we've been taught in society. Less is more. Less is more when the less you have is what you were created for. Less is more. When God created you to have what you have, better less than grasping, striving, pretending, and competing. He carries on to verse 7 and 8. And I saw something meaningless under the sun. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. Let me tell you what was going on here. So here's a man. In those days, you had, and the reason you could, you had all these things is so that you could pass them on to a son or a brother. You know, but women weren't allowed to inherit in those days. Solomon's talking about. So he had no son or brother, and because women could inherit, and so this man, Solomon looks at him, and this guy's going crazy. He's working himself to death. And you know, he's just living for the next bonus, living for the next deal, living for the next sale. There was a man all alone. He had neither son nor brother. Verse 8, there was no end to his toil, yet his eyes were not content with his wealth. He's never happy, never happy, never happy with the one hand, with tranquility. He was working hard and more to get the bigger leads and to get the bigger and the better. And, you know, bigger leads to better, and that leads to the bigger and to the better. And finally, this man asks the question, for whom am I doing this? Folks, yes, if you can answer this question this morning, it'll change your life. For whom am I toiling? He asked. This man kind of looks around. Why am I working all this time? Why am I working so crazy, all this overtime? Why do I need the bigger house? Why do I need the bigger car? Why do I need the upgrade on this? Why do I need, there's nothing wrong with those clothes. Why do I need more and more and more? Can I say, Solomon, teach us today. Preach it, Solomon. Teach us that this spring, let's get out of this comparison conundrum. Let's go to the contentment side of life. For whom am I doing it? What am I trying to prove? And this is a question we all have to answer. While I was striving, toiling, pushing, who's it for? Why am I competing all the time? Is it a family member or something else? Some of us are trying to impress people who are no longer even alive. Maybe a dad, he passed away, but he would be so impressed if he saw me with this car, in this house, in this neighborhood. Why am I doing this? If you can answer this morning, why are you doing this? It might free you up to realize one handful with tranquility or two handfuls with angst, because that's what it is. We're trying to fill up both hands, and there's angst in our lives. He carries on saying, for whom am I toiling? And he asked, and why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? Because I can't even enjoy the one handful. Because I'm so busy, I can't even take time to just enjoy my children, my family, my marriage, my church family. Because I've got to push for the next sale, the big business trip. Sorry, I can't make it to church this morning. I've got to, we've got to move the companies, and we just push. Solomon says, one handful with tranquility is better than the two handfuls with angst. And if you are not enjoying your life, no one else will. I want to say to you this morning, think of your life. There are billions, and I don't mean millions, I mean billions of people on this earth who would literally give their right arm to have your life. And I know you're sitting thinking, how can I make the next? How can I move up? How can I get more acceptable? How can I, get the bigger wallet and the fat? And how can I be, Solomon, stop all that. And I'm encouraging you this spring Be content. One handful of angst. Stop the more. Because you know what? We don't even know why we're toiling and striving this way. Like this man. What am I doing this for? Why am I depriving myself of enjoyment? We can't even sit down on the couch and enjoy a good deep breath. This is miserable. Solomon says in verse 9, this too is meaningless. In a miserable business. These are the words of Solomon, by the way, not my words. This too is meaningless. It's a miserable business. And with this life, more and more and more and more, and then we die. Solomon said, it's miserable business. You were never born to be, as long as you're looking over your shoulder to what everyone else has. Because God only gave you so much energy, and that's to do that He has given us to accomplish His purpose. And so He's saying, run the race that God has given you to go. Run the race, but run it in your lane. You don't have to worry about what everybody is doing. Stop chasing the wind. Proverbs 14 and verse 30. A heart at peace gives life to the body. And now the other part B that I gave you early. But envy rots the bones. It's an incredible passage of Scripture, folks. Can I encourage you? This spring, this time of rejuvenation, how's the pace of your life? Is it out of control? Because you're always just comparing. You know, you're always going for the ers in this life. Prettier, smarter, funnier, you know, more tweeted than anybody else. You cannot compare your way to peace. You cannot compare your way to tranquility. And God has given you a race to run, and you need to get in your lane and focus and stay there. You cannot win chasing the wind. As we close up, can I say you can look to others, don't chase the wind. You can look to others for inspiration, but not imitation. Look to others to inspire you, but not imitation. And when you go there and you see them with their dream car and your dream house and their dream qualification, celebrate them, but do not envy them. Stay in your lane, the lane that God has called you to run your race. You can't win chasing the wind. Comparing yourself to, this is a great quote, by the way, from Jordan Peterson, and he writes this book about the 12 rules for life. He says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not to who someone else is today. Are you just the better person today than you were yesterday? It's a great, great quote. That might be good for you when I see you with, you know, all the trappings of life. But I will run my race in my lane. I want to close you with this last passage of Scripture, because this is the way Solomon summed it all. And you can find this right at the end of his book of Ecclesiastes. Done everything, had everything, seen everything. I mean, one of the richest men that ever lived, and this is his conclusion, and I leave it for you this spring today. Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and verse 13. Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God, fear God, fear God, and keep His commandments. This is the duty of all mankind. Run your race, stick in your lane. Don't worry about what everybody has and looks like and drives and dresses and all that stuff. That'll destroy your life. That's chasing the wind. It's meaningless. One hand with tranquility is better than two hands with angst. Let's stand together as we sing.